Welcome, everyone, to today's special episode of the Shopify Partner Podcast. I'm your host, Blas Segarra, lead for commercial partnerships at Shopify Spain and Portugal. And today we're diving deep into a topic that's close to my heart and, of course, vital to our ecosystem, the impact of Shopify Academy on our partner network. This isn't just another industry conversation. Today is all about real stories from the front lines, how Academy empowers growth, drives expertise, and delivers tangible business results for our partners. And we're very lucky because we're joined by four standout leaders from across the Shopify partner ecosystem, representing a mix of vision, innovation, and results. Let's meet our guests. First up, we have Valerie Boss, an accomplished developer with an impressive 9 badges to her name from CQL. With nearly 30 years of experience, CQL is a leading digital commerce agency renowned for their holistic solutions that elevate customer experiences for both D2C brands and B2B corporations. Thank you for being here, Valerie.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Great. Next, Justin Paul joins us, head of partnerships at eHouse Studio. eHouse Studio specializes in building and optimizing e-commerce sites that shoppers love, combining the best of UX design, technology, and analytics to help brands earn and, of course, keep customers' loyalty. Thank you, Justin, for being here with us.
Thank you.
We're also joined by Emma Kruglova. You were at Shopify for a long time and now VP of Partnerships at Domain, the world's largest independent Shopify design and development partner. Emma and her team are true commerce experts committed to helping ambitious brands grow and thrive. Thank you, Emma, for being here again.
Thank you, Blas, for having me. And great seeing some familiar, friendly faces.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, a very special welcome to James Denker, VP of Partnerships at IM Digital. IM Digital is setting new standards for digital retail experiences through cutting-edge technology, helping leading brands reshape the future of commerce. Thank you very much, James, for being here with us today.
Yeah, it's good to see some new faces and some old ones as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So throughout this episode, we'll hear about each partner's unique journey with the Shopify Academy, how the learning path has helped you develop their businesses, unlock new capabilities, and contribute to the broader success of our ecosystem. So let's get started. I'm going to open up a first question to the whole panel, and whoever is most comfortable can kick it off. So first question, why is learning important to you and your organization? Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll take this one. It may sound a bit stark, right? But I really like the concept of evolve or die. It really helps me encompass technology advancement. There's a bunch of quotes out there. One I like from Craig Charles, it's evolve or die. You really have to evolve. You really have to move on. Otherwise, it's really just becoming stagnant. I really think it helps build like a true standard for our ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I would just add to that, I don't think it's quite as ominous as that quote, but I do agree with the idea of always evolving and growing as a person. And at eHouse, two of our core values as a company are to be curious and to be resourceful. And so it's always important for us to be learning from each other. And so knowing that Shopify has this great academy of resources for our curious employees is very helpful and appreciated to us.
Yeah, I think like to chime in on that, like growth mindset, right, is super important. And especially in our industry, as everything as we know is always constantly evolving and changing. At Domain, like we care really deeply about craft expertise and hiring the best minds in the ecosystem. And so part of that, like we did make a very strategic decision in the beginning to be single threaded to Shopify for our e-commerce practice. And so achieving true platform expertise across our team, it's incredibly important to us. And it's something that we take really seriously. So, for us, the Shopify Academy, it's been a great resource to help our team stay up to date on the platform. And as we all know, that's constantly evolving.
Yeah, actually, like with Shopify editions, right? We launch like a bunch of new features every 6 months, and keeping the pace of all that innovation is quite hard. And having like the whole content gathered within the same Shopify Academy structure is quite interesting for all your team. So yeah, 100% with you, Emma. And Valerie, what about you?
Definitely. So for me personally, I've always really valued being a lifelong learner. I feel like that's such a great attribute to have, something I've seen in other people in my life. Both my mom and brother are pursuing master's degrees right now, and so I've really looked up to both of them. But I feel like lifelong learning for me and software development has been so important. All of you have already mentioned there's so much that's evolving and constantly changing, and so there's always something new and exciting to learn about. And so keeping up with that is one of my favorite parts about being a part of the industry. And then on an organization level, CQL has a couple core values. One is thinking forward, so solving problems and driving innovation, and dedication to craft as well. So really honing in on our expertise and being innovative and honing in on that expertise really enables us to be innovative in this space. When we know the tools that we're working with, we know how to solve the problems that nobody has ever solved yet. And so that's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing. So, like all of you, that's why you're here. Obviously, you have quite a journey with Shopify Academy, right? So, would you be able to share with us, like, when and why did you really start engaging with Shopify Academy, and how would you describe like the overall experience with it?
I will say that my journey actually began a long time ago when I was at Shopify. I was there from 2017 to 2022, and it was a very different academy during that time. It's actually like people at the resources page now. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I will admit, like when I was at Shopify, I probably did not spend that much time in the academy just because we had so many other good resources everywhere else, and so many people that you could turn to or reach in Slack instantly. But now that I will say that I am outside of Shopify, I love having that resource there, not just for me, but for my teammates as well. I think as the partner person on the team and the person that is partner person from Shopify, a lot of people look to me for these answers. And while I'm happy to provide what I know, um, I love that there's this great big resource right behind me that I can direct them all to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got the experience, right? Like at Shopify, we have a bunch of tools to go to, but
Mhm.
we're lucky because since we launched like the new Shopify Academy, we go to that resource as well. It's kind of okay. I need to get my badge. I need to go there and find the resource I need to really be the best part of myself, right? And
Sure.
that's great, and that's like evolving every time. And yeah, it's quite interesting to see how you were Shopify and how you experienced it before and how you're seeing like from the other side of the fence, right? And understanding it's adding a lot of value to your team.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it much more now that I miss my internal guru channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think likewise, to Justin, at spending nearly 7 years at Shopify, it's been a really cool evolution to see how the academy and education has taken course and shape over the years at Shopify. But, for our business at Domain, it really enforces one of our core values, which is excellence through continuous learning. And a really fun part of this when I started at Domain about a year ago, every new employee at Domain is actually asked to complete academy courses as part of their onboarding, which is a super exciting thing.
Yeah.
And so, with that, the academy courses is really part of like the core practice of the business. So for folks that are starting, it really ensures and helps that they're up to speed with the latest of the product features and updates really from day one of starting at Domain. For existing team members, we've actually seen some really fun engagements throughout the business through like hackathon styled
Mhm.
engagements where, like we've seen our delivery team, for example, take like half a day to dive into academy content together as a team. And sometimes even turning it into a fun challenge where we can see who can complete the most amount of courses in half a day. So it's just one of our ways, fun ways within our business that we show our ongoing commitment to craft excellence and learning.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Valerie?
So for me, my journey started about last summer. And I was coming from more of a Salesforce Commerce Cloud background. And so I really wanted to develop a stronger foundation in Shopify because I was getting pulled into a lot more Shopify development work. And, they're totally different platforms, totally different way of doing things. And so I wanted to develop more of a Shopify mindset when I was working on Shopify. How do I use the best practices? How do I deliver the highest quality code possible? I learned so much through working with other developers, but just doing those courses through the academy as well really helped to reinforce those core concepts and develop a stronger understanding. My overall experience has been super rewarding and confidence building. I feel like going through the Shopify Academy has really helped me to develop the confidence to know that I'm delivering high quality code, to know that I'm following best practices, to know that I'm fixing bugs in the right way. That has been so great.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. And you've got 9 already in a year, right? So I'm gonna get back to you in a second. James, can you share with us like your experience?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And to like Justin's point, I think when you start somewhere, the resources for Shopify is really kind of leveled up in a really practically real world use case, right? It's less about just just like a sales training or I love how it's role based. So it caught my attention. I think it was like Q3 or Q4 of last year, and here at I'm Digital, actually, you know, whether it's like Emma's point on hackathons, we do have games as well, and there's financial incentives to help ensure like this continuous state of learning, and it's like you are only like it reminds me of like the founder of Klaviyo statement AB. Well, that's what his nickname is anyway. It's like you're always 1% done, right? So as you start one path, a new one's going to be created. So to Valerie's points, coming from different ecosystems, while we were initially an agnostic agency, we saw more and more work at Shopify over the past couple of years. So there was an organic interest of having um, you know several team members wanting to lead that effort, right? So Q4 is a great opportunity to post code freeze, is to go through that learning exercise, or over the summer right now is also another good time as we ride the highs and lows of our organizations in terms of migrations or new projects, etc. You want to capitalize on those low points, and I feel like this is just ever so timely, right? So for us, we have really 2 iterations. It's a summer and a winter push. So just like Shopify has editions once every 6 months, we try to fall in line in terms of those product updates to make sure people are adopting the technology in a manner that's congruent to the product releases with Shopify.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the ecosystem goes fast. We need to go faster, right? And going back to Emma's point, like adding Shopify Academy into everyone's onboarding is something we've seen around the globe, because I work in Spain and Portugal, and I see like all our partners that like we know that our markets are way behind the US, the UK, but they're getting ready because yeah, the content is well created. They see the product is going very fast, and like the customers needs are going faster. So absolutely. So the next point, I'm gonna ask Valerie first because you've got 9 credentials, right? So what does earning credentials mean to you and to your business?
Yeah, definitely. So, kind of like we've already talked about before, it really means solidifying our expertise, and developing the confidence to solve the really complex technical challenges that those enterprise level builds or migrations face. At CQL, we also deeply value that idea of being consultants for our clients. So, not just doing the feature work and the bug fixes, we do that, of course, but we also want to be proactive and be able to recommend best practices or ideas that will really help to elevate our clients' e commerce experiences. And so, being able to earn credentials through the Shopify Academy really enables us to do that and to be able to notice things and speak up to our clients about it so that we can deliver the best possible results.
Yeah, I think the question, so, what does the credentials mean to us and our business? So Domain, we're proud to be the largest global Shopify native systems integrator. So we have over 300 team members worldwide. And with that, about 50% of our company is engineering. So we're very much led by the engineering practice. And so as we've continued to, bring more folks on and ramp up our efforts globally, I think that commitment has definitely been recognized by Shopify in itself. And in fact, Shopify has brought Domain in to help create and lead parts of these courses and the programming education initiatives themselves. And I think our dedication to that ongoing learning and commitment, is really further reinforcing our position as being a trusted expert partner in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the end, if like partners are gonna be the ones learning from Shopify Academy, like there's no better way to really understand how we should build like those badges, but like working alongside the partner. So yeah, great. James, anything to add?
No, I mean, I share a similar sentiment. I mean, the four speakers here have the highest credentials at anyone in the market. So I think it's great to learn from the peers of what those extracts are. At our firm at Ion Digital, we are absolutely engineering led. We came from the .NET Microsoft space, we came from the Adobe space, and we built out Salesforce practices. But it's funny, along the way, we've always done Shopify, but it's like the ecosystem has changed. The ICP has changed. The total addressable market of traditional Shopify is relatively saturated. So it's very similar to like Klaviyo use cases, right? They get super saturated, they break into new markets, and they need expertise from people from different verticals to help demonstrate getting from point A to point B. And I think that is probably one of the most enticing pieces of breaking into new markets. And it's always leading with like the native functionality instead of extensibility first, right? And I think that's at the end of the goal. At the end of the day, our goal at I'm Digital is to ensure the highest CSAT you're going to get. So, how are you going to do that? Essentially, benchmarking. And benchmarking to me is really defined through channels like this, right? And when it holds real world practicality use cases, um, I mean, even before we were going through resource documentation, building our first hydrogen build several years ago, which is one of the first ones to market, which is great. And like, I think there just would have been such a faster time to speed up resources that are like a primary subject expert versus like a secondary subject expert that wants to learn from that primary. So this tool has really helped benchmark our standardization practice and get to a level where we are today, right? Speaking on this call and coming with like these success stories that we all have to bring us to our next set of challenges and endeavors. But it really has helped us in terms of upskilling the team and cross skilling the team. It's always like this evolving practice, and we have our second wave coming right now. So super pumped to be a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's jump into anecdotes and personal stories. They're always fun, right? And we learn by doing. I'm gonna start if you don't mind, but because there's a funny story about Shopify Academy. Yeah, the first one I took, I didn't pass it at the first time. I thought it was adjusting said, right? Okay, this is one like course. I can just pass lies, and then I will pass the exam. So it didn't happen first and like the last, hopefully, fortunately. So but it was about solutioning, and it was great because it touched on like the architecture, right? And we started just deep diving into the architecture to understand what they had and how we could pass it to Shopify. So at least I had to understand what they had, and it was fun because everything we touched on, it was like the content I just learned a month ago, and it was like, oh, great. So yeah, it was just a personal story I wanted to share with you. I don't know if you have anything to share about like the impact that earning badges has had on you personally or professionally.
Definitely. I'd love to get us started here. So, my story is related to the Liquid Storefronts for Developers badge. It's one of the courses or learning paths that really does a deep dive into all the Liquid syntax and where you would use what and why you're using it this way. And kind of like I've already mentioned, coming from more of a Salesforce Commerce Cloud background, the closest equivalent would have been writing in ISML, which is totally different from writing in Liquid. And so going through that process and learning all of the little granular details about Liquid helped me so much, so that now whenever I read a file, it's just so much easier to read and debug, and I know exactly what's going on. I could explain it to somebody else, and that has made such a big difference in my life as a developer.
Oh, great. Thank you, Valerie, for sharing. Anyone
Well,
else?
I was gonna say, I actually had one of our developers called out the exact same class, Valerie. He really liked the liquid optimization segment of that course. I'd say for me, I've actually recently used it, I think, in a non-traditional way. We at eHouse have some proposals going out to Shopify, and so it's always helpful to revisit certain topics where Shopify has spelled out exactly the way they feel and about certain topics, and that helps kind of give us a point of reference to work from when we're putting together documentation, whether it's for a proposal to Shopify or just some sort of content within the ecosystem, again, to just be consistent with our prime partner.
Great. Thanks, Justin. James, Emma, any personal experiences or anecdotes?
Sure. I've seen my fair share of e-learnings, and I've always been somewhat skeptical. Like, I'm always like, where's my bite-sized role-based experience? So I think looking at a lot of academies, I can't tell you how many software companies asked me to go through trainings, and they're like, oh my God, this, like, where's the time, right? So I really go in and question, how I'm going to invest my time, and I'm really protective of our team's time. So I took some time, like on the weekend, to I have like 14 learning paths that I personally went through, and half of them are done, half of them are still moving. And there's areas that everyone has a specific discipline, right? I always came from like a sales, marketing, partnership background, so it's like, all right, so I'm going to go in and do solution fundamentals, right? And really challenge myself. So I think getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is essentially the narrative that I've been forced to adopt in terms of leveling up my New Year's resolutions. And this was actually a part of that journey. So I ended up, I think I'm like 90% done with solution selling. And I think at the end of it, it really just helps build this vendor versus partner narrative, and like being a trusted advisor, I think, are some of the resounding pieces of perception that you have with existing clients understanding the limits of Shopify, or you changing your role. Like, I went in on site on Monday. Like, I thought this would be a pretty quiet week on 4th of July. And I was the solution consultant for like the first time, right? And I've been in the ecosystem for 8 years. So challenging myself personally really helped me feel like more is possible, right? And it definitely changed my perception using Shopify Academy at the standard of the quality that you guys gave that presentation. So that was my personal feat for the 4th of July.
Oh man,
That's
a great
great.
area.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since we launched like Shopify Academy, it became one of my year's resolutions as well, because I always said like learning something new, and then, like, this subgroup of learning something new I've added like, okay, 3 or 4 or 5 new batches, right? And that's something great. And Emma, anything to add?
Yeah, I think for me, so I've been in the Shopify ecosystem itself for, 13 years. When I started, I was actually point of sale side working for a company that was eventually bought out by Lightspeed. So for me, I personally really enjoyed doing the POS selling courses. When I started at Shopify back in 2018, I was one of the first hires in international markets, leading the APAC market. So my background initially at Shopify had started from selling enterprise. So it was fun to do the course and pass, just as like a little pat on the back that, your gal still has it. But how this translates in a day-to-day, as we do forecasting calls with our sales team, we do have the largest Salesforce practice sales team practice within the ecosystem. We've got a pretty large sales team. And so how this applies in the day-to-day is like really, all of our sales members have gone through the course academy as well on POS and, Shopify selling. But it really allows me to, challenge our team as we're going through forecasting and like any kind of deal blockers of really just, deal mechanics and deal craft and, asking kind of the right questions and help kind of shape and unblock and accelerate anything that, we have in our pipeline with our clients, and helping make sure that our team is really, up to speed of how Shopify itself, the reps are positioning the platform, and overcoming obstacles and, all the things that do come up in these engagements. So that's been extremely helpful and like a real way practice of how we've been able to apply the courses in the day-to-day.
Yeah, great. So we're gonna Valerie just said that. I think James as well, like you've been going through learning paths and academies from like the whole ecosystem, right? And how the Shopify Academy compared to other educational resources you've used in the past. Like if you had to compare Shopify Academy to other ones, what would you just say?
I think I have PTSD from previous ones, right? It's like I've seen. I'm not gonna say which one specifically because, but I remember like it looks like you're just staring at Mount Everest, like the
Yeah.
documentation, this
Yeah.
long-tailed content, it's lacking real-world applications. Those are the pieces that really started to make me question how I invest my time, and is it going to be relevant? Is it tangible? Is it something I can take and hopefully apply that tomorrow? And the real world application for me is still Monday, going on site with a Shopify rep into a super complex, non-traditional vertical for Shopify, and being able to really speak within the limits and even beyond the limits of Shopify as soon as you're getting into back office, ERPs, etc. Those real world examples help me translate. So I am super grateful once again for that experience and challenging, and it's something I'm going to take with me. So it's also helping me absorb additional responsibility in my organization.
If you go to the resources page, which by the way is beautiful. I don't know like when that was redone. I think maybe earlier this year, but like as an art history major, I love looking at that page. But to James's point also, it's really, really hard to get highly valuable, highly billable, in-demand people to set aside large blocks of hours to take on for enablement. And sometimes that's not what's necessary. And so, we have expressed this desire to some of our other technology partners, which I've heard a lot of their agencies are as well, is the idea of kind of coming up with mini enablements and kind of these smaller bits and pieces that are discoverable throughout the academy that somebody can just go in and really get a great primer on whatever they want to know. And it was funny in kind of preparation for this discussion today. One of the things I was looking for was what is missing from the academy that is not already here. And I had to really, really search and think about it. So I'm kind of curious if anybody else came up. I'm curious to hear what everybody else says, but you guys been doing a great job.
Yeah. I think like at least it feels for me that Shopify Academy is an extension of Shopify's product perception, right? Like people think that Shopify easygoing tool, very complete and very complex actually, but we can like make the most of it because we understand it, right? Whereas maybe other commerce platforms are like James said, Mount Everest. So do their academies are. So in this case, is great how Shopify decided to build something like thinking of how the core Shopify's product is being built to really make the most of it and to really give a resource to the audience for them to like understanding and leveraging like most of it. So yeah. Valerie, what about you?
Yeah, so I've been so impressed by the quality of the content in Shopify Academy. Not only has it been super relevant to my role, but it's also incorporated things like specific code snippets explaining how things work and lab-based examples where you can actually go through yourself and try something out and really develop a strong understanding. I feel like one of the best ways to learn as a developer is to try something out. And so having that opportunity through Shopify Academy has been fantastic.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna catch that one to ask again another question. Like, if you had to pick one, what was like or what is the most valuable content for your role and why?
I think for me that's easy. It is the course on selling Shopify. You know, Shopify sales reps and solution engineers are who I and my go-to-market team spend most of our time with. And so knowing all the value points that they're trying to hit on, all the value pillars as well, is very important to us, very helpful to us. It's definitely appreciated by them. So I think that's the one that I lean into most often.
I think to piggyback off of Justin's thoughts, it's also like some of these simple questions are actually some of the hardest because we've been in this ecosystem for a really long time, and it's like um, I feel like we've covered so much ground, right? It's like I'm almost thinking of this as well. If what if I wasn't in the Shopify ecosystem? Like, where would I start, right? And it's like I think it always goes back to your role, like what do you care about, where are your strengths or where are your weaknesses, and you want to bridge those gaps. So like I think the best answer to any interview question is that it depends. So for me, I love the co-selling piece, right? It helps you avoid like having all these calls to try to get on the same page, so you can show up to a meeting speaking the same language, speaking about the same products and the same narrative. That to me is probably the most important because regardless of what we do day to day, like perception is probably the heaviest weighted concept in service based industries, right? And the perception is you guys are helping us overcome that. So I think you need to really dig deep and understand where you think your strengths are. You can stay with that and get on the same page with Shopify, great. But it's like, make sure some of your weaknesses are kind of shored up too. And I think people need to answer that for themselves. For me, like I was said, it was solution consulting. Like I wanted to go in there and do more than I've done in the past 15 years of my career in e-commerce. I was like, okay, time to level up. So I think that is a good area of inspiration to take away from this.
Yeah, absolutely. Emma, what about you?
I think echoing Justin and James, to be honest, would be the co-selling and the selling Shopify piece. As I kind of mentioned before, domain, like we are single threaded on Shopify, but we have folks joining us from BigCommerce and Salesforce, Adobe, Hybris. So, what we have heard on our team is like, I think co-selling, if you're coming from different ecosystems, Shopify is very uniquely positioned in how they co-sell with partners and in the best way. So many people have mentioned, wow, like the resources and support that we get from Shopify in a co-selling capacity is really it's something that sets Shopify apart, I think, from the others. So because my role, I'm so like closely aligned with all of our revenue teams, the co-selling piece is, important. And especially for us at Domain, we focus probably the most of our energy. We working with large and enterprise clients. And for those of us on the call that work in enterprise, it's very large scale teams from the client side and Shopify as well. So the co-selling piece is really important and just helping all of us just orchestrate and march to, the same beat and same language in some of
Yeah,
these improvements.
absolutely. I mean, customers need to feel that the bonds created between the ecosystem and Shopify are really tight, right? And we like go with the same pitch, with the same direction, and we are all aligned. And this is great because in the end they feel that, and they are like way more comfortable to then decide, okay, to go on Shopify and to go with this partner because I really feel that they are ready, that they understand Shopify not just as a tool but as a like go to market. And that's definitely like a good point. And Valerie, I'm not sure if selling on Shopify is going to be your like favorite and most valuable content, but can you share with us which one would it be?
Yeah, so I have to go back to that liquid storefronts for developers. That has been such a great course, and one that I know I can go back and reference if I ever have any technical questions about how all of it works or any syntax things. That one has been really fabulous, and I feel like it has given me a lot of like aha moments from the technical perspective. But I've also taken a few badges outside my role as well and tried to understand how to position the value of Shopify, the specific value adds that are unique to Shopify. And I feel like those have been so valuable as well because it helps me understand more of the context of something before it lands in my queue. So, understanding the feature request and being able to embrace that consultant role and knowing the value that Shopify brings, and if there's anything more that I could recommend or bring up to the client, I feel like it's a balance for me of getting that technical expertise, but also understanding the bigger picture of business outcomes as well, because it's a way to create a more holistic solution for a client, and so that's been great too.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing. So lastly, because in the end, we're always looking to improve. If you could create new content for Shopify Academy, what would it be and why? This is a great question.
So I'll go first. It could be a little silly, but like I said,
It won't.
I had to search to find like what has not already been covered very, very well. And I
Mm.
think what could be helpful, especially for the partners, would be something that covers the Shopify folk of Shopify and the various roles within Shopify, and how
Interesting.
those roles interact with partners. I feel like Emma and I, and James, just because of his experience, probably have a significant leg up on some other partners out there. But just a look at like what are some like the main staple roles within Shopify, and what effect does that have on the product, on client relationships, on partner relationships. I think could probably be helpful to partners.
Thank you. Very, very interesting.
But I'm so curious
James.
if anybody else came up with one, because I really had to stretch.
I love what Justin's coming up with. I remember when I was doing a bunch of training with IBM, and this is a long time ago. Very specific scenario based, like and it's along the same brand tone of voice that Shopify Academy already has. You're in a meeting, right? And you understand where Shopify consultant's going to fit, right? Like um, where the Shopify seller is going to fit and where they really want you to fill in, right? A lot of times we get into these calls, it's scenario based, right? So we want to understand what that style is going to be, and it's still very much going to be 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. But I think doing that homework for people looking from the outside in would be super helpful for them to really make sure that it looks like we showed up prepared and there's no like hiccups during presentations and those types of messages. So to Justin's point, I think that would probably be really helpful for a little bit more tired of the pavement. But like I said, like Justin said, that was a really hard find to extract. Like you guys have, I don't know who created this whole thing, but they have been so busy, and I'm just really grateful for all the work you guys put into this.
Yeah, such a great team we have. We're very lucky to have them, definitely. Valerie, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree that the current content in the Shopify Academy is fantastic, and there really is something for everybody at your organization. One thing that came to mind for me from the developer perspective was some more resources around performance optimization and accessibility. So just working with best practices and specific code examples in that space of, maybe here's a way to do it, and here's a way that's a little bit better because it incorporates some of these performance best practices or accessibility best practices, things of that nature. But yeah, like I said, this has been really fantastic, and really appreciate everything from Shopify Academy.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Valerie. Emma?
I do have a wish list. If there was one thing to improve on, which I know has been hard to find because the courses are great, as a global system integrator partner, we have teams across North America and all parts of Europe. So for us, we're managing multiple partner accounts. There's one thing we could improve on, it would be reporting. Currently, there's no like centralized view for us to see across our entire business, Canada, Americas, DACH, and UKI. There's currently no way for me to see at a holistic org level of who's completed which courses, how complete those courses are. So we've reverted to tracking it on a Google Sheet. It's not the prettiest thing. It works
It
for now.
isn't.
If there's anything, it would just be on that reporting front. And I know that would be super advantageous for Justin and James as well. Just that holistic view of how the company is tracking and who's kind of completing which courses. But in terms of what other content, I think Shopify has done an incredible job of just the pace of innovation in enterprise specifically. The way that enterprise has been evolving is incredibly impressive to see. I would love to see some more courses specific to enterprise. Again, I'm probably tailoring it more on the selling component. But other things that have come up from our team of like, our team loves Shopify Flow. So maybe like a course around getting more out of Shopify Flow, more around like unique things around checkout customizations. That's another area that's super interesting to our team. And then Valerie already mentioned it. So just echoing the like storefront performance. And I think also with the latest release in additions, that's particularly of interest of our team is that storefront piece.
Yeah, definitely. I can feel you because this is not the first time I hear it. So, like, having an holistic view of all credentials, that would be amazing. So hopefully someone will just hear us. So, well, folks, this is all super valuable, and I feel like we could continue talking about this all day, right? But unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I'll have to end things here now. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. It was a real pleasure. It was great meeting you for the ones I haven't had the pleasure to meet before. And again, thank you. I hope you enjoy it because in the end, this was, as we said before, right? Like a conversation as we were having a beer. And thank you very much for your time, for your, of course, knowledge, for your experience, and for sharing all your thoughts here with us. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you all.